Hello and welcome back to Empowered Families. Before we talk about behavior, neuroscience and brain development, I would like to briefly share who I am and why this topic matters so deeply to me. My name is Felicia Chen. I'm a researcher, educator and practitioner working in the area of neuroscience, movement-based development and neurodiversity. For more than 10 years, my work has focused on one central question. How does the brain develop through movement, sensory experience and regulation? And how do early nervous system patterns shape learning, emotions and behavior as children grow? My interest in neuroscience began during my doctorate research. For my doctorate, I study how music and movement interventions influence children with autism, their motor development, their thinking skills, and their social-emotional development. I saw many children make progress. They moved better, they focused better, and they connected better. But over time, something began to concern me. I noticed that some neurodivergent children struggle again as they approach puberty. Skills that once seemed stable become harder to maintain. Emotional regulation felt more difficult. Learning required more effort. Behavior was often described as regression. That led me to ask a difficult question. Are we focusing too much on behavior and not enough on how the brain develops over time? That question changed the direction of my work. It led me deeper into neuroscience and body development and nervous system organization. Over the years, this work evolved into what I now call the brain reset approach. Brain reset is an umbrella framework that uses different techniques and activities to help reconnect and strengthen communication between the sensory system and the motor systems of the brain. Because when sensory input and motor responses are not well connected, the brain has to work much harder to manage attention, emotions, and behavior. Within Brain Reset, I developed integrated neurosensory motor techniques, or INT, to translate neuroscience into practical, real-life support for children and families. My work is also informed by relational and developmental approaches. I'm a certified practitioner of DIR, floor time and move to learn, which emphasize connection, readiness, and development rather than control or compliance. I continue to deepen my neuroscience training through advanced courses in China under the tutorage of Professor Andy Su, an Australian neuroscientist and educator, with fellowships and professional recognition across leading organizations, including the Academy of Medical Educators in the UK, the American Neurological Association, and the Royal Society of South Australia. All of this shape how I see children. Not as behavior problem to fix, but as developing humans whose brain and nervous systems may simply need the right kind of support at the right time. And this is why I created Empowered Families. Not to teach parents how to manage behavior better, but to help parents understand what is happening inside the brain so they can respond with clarity, compassion, and confidence. As parents, most of the information we receive about autism, ADHD, learning difficulties, or developmental delays is based on behavior. We are told to observe attention, emotional reactions, compliance, and social responses. So it makes sense that parents begin to watch behavior closely. When a child struggles, the first question often becomes, what is wrong with this behavior? How do I stop it? How do I correct it? This way of thinking is not because parents are wrong. It's because this is how the system teaches us to look. But here is something important I want parents to hear clearly. Behavior is what we see. It is not always the cause. Behavior is often the result of something happening inside the brain and nervous system. When a child can't sit still, when emotions feel overwhelming, when learning becomes difficult, or when a child avoids tasks, these are not random behaviors. They are often signals that the nervous system is still developing, still organizing, or working very hard to cope with demands. This is why I often say, development is adaptive, not defective. Struggles are signals, not failures. In research literature, the behaviors we observe in neurodivergent children are often described as symptoms or signs of a disorder. But from a neuroscience perspective, these symptoms are outward expression of how the brain is developing. They reflect sensory processing differences, motor integration challenges, regulation difficulties, and stress responses. So instead of asking only, how do we manage this behavior? A more helpful question becomes, what might have shaped this behavior in the brain and nervous system? When parents shift from observing behavior to understanding development, their responses begin to change. In today's episode, my intention was not to give answers, but to help you pause and reflect. To gently step back from focusing only on behavior and begin asking what may be happening beneath the surface. In the next episode, I will join by Joyce Mui, a parent who has walked this journey with her own daughter, Janet Lee. Joyce will share her life experience, how understanding brain development changed how she saw her daughter's learning, her emotions, and her behavior. Her story will bring today's conversation into real life. Thank you for being here with us at Empowered Families. We look forward at continuing this conversation with you in the next episode. See you.